This is Major Football Talk on Rubber Run Sports, and I am over exuberant to be here.
Oh, yeah! Perfect.
Thank you guys for the intro. I'm over exuberant to be here as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Too bad John's not here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Getting crushed today. John's getting crushed all over today. That's awesome. Let's talk about it. 35-0. Another win.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the game.
Wakefield's quarterback tore his ACL early in the season, and I think it really changed him on offense. But it was a great prep for us because I think one of the things we've talked about on the show a bunch has been last year we were unable to stop teams when they ran.
Yeah.
And Wakefield ran the ball 41 times at us and had 94 yards rushing. So the defense did a really good job. They have a nice running back, but we were able to bottle him up and keep him from getting any space. I don't think they crossed midfield once. I think they only had a few first downs, so we pretty much did that. And the great thing was we were able to score some early, get the clock running, and then we probably had, like, against W&L is maybe the longest game I've ever been in. Yeah. I think it was 8:30 at the end of the first quarter. Like, the first quarter was like 90 minutes long. Like, it was like 5 or 6 minutes into the third quarter when it was 8:30 this week. Really? So that was really good for us. Like, we got through it. We're healthy. We don't really have any injuries. We have a bye week this week, so we're pretty excited about that. Darian Newton, I know he's 5'10", and he's not 6'4" like some of the other jokers around here. He's the best wide receiver in the area. He had 5 catches, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're getting ready to play some teams where he's going to get the ball more. Mm-hmm. Like, we've been kind of doing what we're doing because it's been working, but we know against better teams, like, we want to give the ball to what we think is the best player in the area, and it's Darian Newton. And, he catches the ball wherever we want him to, plays running back, plays DB, does everything. Timmy played well, threw the ball well, threw for 220 yards. We only complete like 10, 11 passes. We ran the ball most of the game. Jordan Reed, who's behind us trying to get on camera somewhere, had another 120-yard, 3-touchdown game. So, we're excited. We're healthy. We made it to the bye week 5-0. First time Mount Vernon's been 5-0 since 1986. And we got a chance to go 6-0. We're pretty excited about it.
All right. Well, in the background, he also lost a shirt.
Yeah, as soon as the cameras came out, his shirt fell off. I don't know what happened.
Well, we talk a lot about the offense on the show.
Right.
But your defense is playing great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give a little bit of love to the defense.
Yeah, so defense had a shutout. It's our first shutout since I've been here. First shutout Mount Vernon's had. We haven't been able to find it yet, but it's been a really long time since Mount Vernon's pitched a shutout on somebody. We have Jason Lewis, who you guys interviewed a couple weeks ago. He's leading the area in sacks. I think he has 9.5 sacks right now. Aaron Busby's played well. J-Ron Bernard, nose guard for us, has played really well. Our 2 linebackers, Andre Golding and Bernard, have just played extremely well. They play fast. They're confident against stopping the run. We want teams to run the ball on. Like, last year, we were trying to get people in bad down and distance, so they had to throw on us.
Right.
Like, this year, we feel like we're in a place where, all right, try to run on us. Like, let's see what we can do. And our defense has responded really well. And some of that's because we were so young, and we still are young. Like, they're growing up and learning how to play, getting bigger in the weight room so that we can compete with some of the bigger teams in the area.
Okay. Now, with that big of a turnaround on defense, what do you credit that to? I mean, obviously, you've talked before about strength and things like that, but what else do you credit to?
Some of it is just the kids, right? All last year and previous to me getting here, teams just putting up a lot of stats and a lot of yards, right? A lot of people would have quit, right? You keep getting punched in the teeth over and over and over and over again. You got 2 choices. You can either quit or you can decide to get better. And I felt like our defense over the offseason just decided, like, we're going to get better, because I think they trust our offense, and they're like, we know our offense is going to be able to score some points, so if we can get better, like, we can be in every football game. So I think they put in the work, right? Like, we can have the weight room open, but unless you go into the weight room with a mindset of, like, I want to get bigger and stronger, like, it's just fake.
Yeah.
And I think they bought in and really just wanted to kind of complete our team.
Right. 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
How did you plan that bye week right at the midpoint of the season?
No, but it is, I think, the perfect week. Last year we started 3-0. Played West Springfield, and then we had a bye week, and I felt like it was like the worst time we could have had a bye
shots
week.
at Dridge on here.
No, I mean, for us, like, it was a really bad time to have a bye week. Like, we had all kinds of momentum, and then I felt like that extra week off kind of like derailed us a little bit. Whereas this year, like, it's a perfect time, right? Like, we've pretty much finished our non-conference schedule. I think we were better than all 5 teams that we played, but we were able to take advantage of that and be 5-0, to where now we've got to reset and get ready for a much different level of competition, right? Our conference has been really good so far this year. All 4 teams have a winning record right now. So we know what's getting ready to come at us. And so it's a good time for us to kind of reset, figure out, what we need to change, what we need to fix, and, like, what we have as strengths, and get ready. We're excited for the conference season, right? Like, we know we were predicted to finish last in our conference, right? You
don't think about that, though, do you?
I think about it every day.
Right.
I think, we were picked 5th out of 5 teams. We don't think we're the 5th best team in our conference, but we're getting a chance to prove it, right? Like, if we don't go and play well and do the things that we've done so far, like, we'll finish 5th.
How do you handle the bye week? Like, 1, do you like the bye week? And 2, how do you approach it as a coach? How do you kind of get your team?
Well, I think, you kind of miss it. I think we obviously got the bye week at the perfect time, right? Like, we're 5-0. We get an extra week to get prepared, and then we get Hayfield, right? So, like, we get 2 weeks to work on the best team in our conference. And so that's a great time for us. For us, it just gives us an extra week to kind of scout ourselves, and then kind of mix up practice a little bit. Because when you have 10 weeks of straight games, like, it gets old, and, like, the kids can kind of become complacent with how things are. So it gives us a week to kind of mix some things up. Do a lot more weight room this week than we've done previous weeks. And then, we'll still do, Urban Meyer does this thing, and that's kind of what I believe, and I think it's a good idea. We're going to scrimmage this week, right? Okay. Like, we don't want to get out of being physical, because I think that's something that's got us to this point. So we'll still do some things like normal practice-wise, but we'll really focus on the weight room, some special team stuff that we want to clean up, and then we'll scrimmage at the end of the week, and then go back into game week next week. Okay.
In the year, I mean, Robinson, known for running the ball.
Yeah,
they want to pound you with the run. South County, known for how fast they play.
Right.
Hayfield, known to be high flying. What is Mount Vernon's style of football?
Space.
Okay.
Like, we want to eat space. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my offensive philosophy. Mm-hmm. Like, I think with the talent that we have, like, I think we have a lot of really good athletes. They just aren't 6'3", 6'4", so they're not on the front of the Washington Post every week. But, like, what we want to do is, like, eat space. So if you're going to give space somewhere, like, we want to take it. Yeah. And I feel like our athletes in one-on-one scenarios in space can take advantage of that. Like, Darian Newton, Damian Burke, Jordan Reed, Josh Henry, like, those are all kids that, like, if I get a one-on-one matchup, I think we're going to win it more than we don't. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like, we're not a typical spread team where, I think people think we just like to sling the ball around. Like, we're a very physical team, right? Like, Jordan Reed's had three rushing touchdown games this year already. Yeah. So we run power, and we want to be physical, because I think at the end of the day, when people want to reduce the box on us, like, we want to take advantage of that. We go fast. We might not go as fast as SoCo or Hayfield. Like, they probably go a little faster than us right now. But we want to be balanced, right? That's the thing I think that hurts defenses the most, is when you can run the football and you can throw the football. When you become one-dimensional, like, I've been in those scenarios. We were like that last year, where we really could just throw the football. We really couldn't run it. And, like, it really limits what you can do in certain down and distances.
Okay. Should we talk about Tennessee?
I mean, they won this week. I don't really.
You feeling better about it?
No. Like Georgia's probably going to kill them.
Well.
But at least they won, I guess. I don't know. I got friends that are like, I wish they would have lost, so we would have made some changes. But it's depressing.
That's the most negative off of a win that I've ever seen somebody react to.
Yeah, I mean, they beat a team that was 0-4 by 3 points at home.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. You talk about your offensive philosophy, or what you guys have. Like you said, you got a lot of great athletes, not 6'3", 6'4". Defensively, what is the identity of the Mount Vernon defense?
So for us, like we want to attack and cause problems, right? So we're fine giving up some yards. Like I'm a bend but don't break type of guy, but I want to do that while attacking. So like we want to cause turnovers. Like that's what I think for us is the best thing. Like we're never, at least right now, we're not equipped to be a team that can just line up in a 4-3 and be basic and survive. Maybe some teams we can do that against, but to be able to compete with Hayfield and South County and Centerville and South Lakes, like we've got to move around and use our athletes, right? Like we think we have one of the best linebacking cores in the area. Like people really don't talk about it, but we have 4 linebackers who I think all have potential to play college football. Jason Lewis, Aaron Busby, Andre Golding, and Bernard Danke are all like really good athletes. They like contact. And it definitely helps us when we play some of our spread teams, right? Because they're able to get out. But definitely on defense, we want to attack. We want to limit big plays, but we're not afraid to put ourselves in situations to give up big plays to try to cause a momentum changer. Because I just feel like turnovers in high school football are huge issues, right?
Yeah. All right. How would Monty Fritz have done playing quarterback for Mount Vernon?
I don't know. It's a very different thing. Probably not as well as Timmy's done, right? I probably have more rushing yards than Timmy does, but Timmy's done such a tremendous job learning such a different system. We put so much pressure on him. I put a lot of pressure on him. He's definitely performed at a high level. And, for me, I'm excited, because I think everybody's just kind of thrown what we've done under the rug. Like, we're 5-0. First off, it's hard for me to understand why people are throwing that under the rug because Mount Vernon hasn't done it in a really long time. Yeah. And I feel like I've talked about this before, we skipped a step, right? Like, before I got here, Mount Vernon was awful. Mm-hmm. We've been able to win a lot of games, put ourselves in the playoffs last year. We're on pace to do it again this year. But now everybody's like, oh, they're 5-0. They've done nothing, right? And so Timmy, who's thrown for 1,300 yards, rushed for 300 yards, a lot of that with him only playing first halves of games, no one really, to me, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. But we'll get our chance, right? We're going to get to play Hayfield. We're going to get to play West Po. We're going to play TC. People are only going to be able to ignore it for so long. So that's the thing. I'm glad we do the show and we get to shout the kids out a lot, but I think a lot of people still think we're fake. And so that's good for us. We get to talk about that, and it motivates the kids. But, I can sit here and say all that all day. But, if we don't perform well in the next game, then everybody's going to be like, yeah, you are fake, right?
All right. You say all that, but you like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was, I don't mind saying I strategically picked a school like this to come take my first head coaching job, right? I was at Friendship, and I really loved the job, and it's a great job being the OC there. They played DeMatha over the weekend. They played big games against nationally ranked teams. But, for me, I wanted to go to a place that we could start a lot of things, start a lot of traditions, start a lot of new things. And the school and the community have really bought into that. We like playing with a chip on our shoulder. We like the fact that we play Hayfield in 2 weeks, and no one's going to give us a chance to win that game.
So Hayfield in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you watched them already? And how much of that game the other night did you see?
We've seen some of it. I mean, because it's the bye week, it's a little weird because the film exchange really doesn't happen until after they play Robinson on Friday night. Gotcha. So, Coach Henderson's not going to send me the film a week early, right? That's and that's a normal thing, and that's what he should do. I wouldn't do it if I was in the same situation. So we've seen some of them. We know what they do. Like Coach Henderson's been there for a while,
Yeah.
so his system's been there. So it's not like we're going to scout like a new coach. And that's not to say he won't have any new wrinkles or anything for us, but we know what they are. We know they have a really, really good player in Brian Cobbs, who everybody in the area wishes they had.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think we have a good feeling for what they're going to do. So, we should be able to prepare some this week before we get the film, and then we'll really get into it next week on the prep. But the bye week for us is just at a good time. We're healthy. We can get better this week, and then we'll really get cranked up for Hayfield next week.
Okay. Now, as we were talking about, how you feel about people kind of not giving you the attention that you all deserve.
Right.
Where does that mentality come from for you? Because that's something that you've had for a long time. Obviously, that's not something that you just walked into.
Yeah.
You've had that before you got here. Where does that attitude from you come?
So, I think you look at my background, I think that's a lot of the places it came from. Like, Friendship is always kind of treated like,
Right.
the redheaded stepchild in D.C. Like, it's a charter school, even though it's a public school. Like, so that you have that mindset coming from that part of Northeast, and like always being kind of just mistreated and not given what it's like. They still don't have a field, which is crazy to me. Like, I'm not there
Are you
anymore,
serious?
but like the city won't approve them to have a field, even though they're the best football team in the city, right? Like, it's crazy. So they don't have a field. And then before that, like some people don't know, like for 2 years before I went to Friendship, I was the head coach at Culpeper Middle School, right?
Okay.
And like when I took over that program, they were like 1-9 for like the past, 3 or 4 years. So like just learning how to be the coach of a group of kids that had kind of like a program that had just kind of gave up on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they almost canceled the program before I took the job. And like we won a bunch of games when I was there, and then I went to Friendship. So I think it's just that mindset of like always being around kids that feel like people haven't had high enough expectations for them.
Yeah.
I like that. I like being that guy. Hopefully we can get to the point where, everybody's scared of Mount Vernon before we get on the field.
Yeah.
Like, that's a nice thing to have too, right? It's like the David and Goliath thing.
Right.
Bruce Pearl, who used to be the basketball coach of Tennessee before he had his infamous barbecue.
Yeah.
They asked him that question once, and I've always kind of listened to it. He's like, I would rather be Goliath any day of the week.
Yeah.
Goliath has all the weapons, tools, and
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely, yeah.
Like, David only wins that 1 out of a million times.
Right.
Right? So, like, we want to get to that part where we're the biggest, strongest, toughest team in the area, but it's really fun to be a part of a David situation, right? To kind of be the underdog. People don't believe in you. Like, it's fun in the locker room. Like, our pregame talks are really, like, it's fun to give those talks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might not want to bring the cameras in there, but, like, it's a good...
Oh, no, I want to bring the cameras in there now. Duh.
You can ask them, but, like, we get really fired up, and, like, they've really bought into this, like, chip on our shoulder, like... and they know it. Like, they're sitting here, like, they know that no one outside of us right here believes we can go to Hayfield and win that conference game.
Yeah, well, you don't mind keep saying that either, do you?
Yeah, I don't.
I like it. Now, I love that. Maybe that's why I like you all, because I have that attitude every day. That's the only way I can get through life. I love when people tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. I love that. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
So, since we're filming, like, later in the afternoon now, I take my son to Wegmans, so I had another Wegmans, like,
Donut?
pastry. Yeah, I had a pastry today. I had, like, a cherry pastry.
Switching it up?
Yeah, I mean, Wegmans has a lot of options.
That's
It's
what you
nice.
do off the Tennessee win?
Yeah.
You get the pastry instead of the donut?
Yeah, I guess. As long as Mount Vernon wins, I'm fine.
There
But,
you
like,
go.
the Tennessee stuff, it's a mess right now.
All right. So, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. A lot of stuff that's affecting the NFL right now. How much do you bring that up with the team, or do you talk about it at all?
We will. I think we'll definitely talk about it this week. For us, and like, we don't have to get in like the specific
Right.
like political stuff, but for me, and this is something I've talked about, like I thought one of the big issues with Mount Vernon before I got here is it was 45 individuals doing 45 individual things.
Gotcha.
So one of my big things that we've done for two is like, one, we have a lot bigger team. I want 120 people on the same path.
Right.
I don't sometimes care what that path is. I just think 120 dudes walking in the same direction is a lot tougher than 45 dudes walking in different directions.
Absolutely.
And so our goal is to be on the same page and to all be together. We had some of those conversations last year because some of this started last year about like being respectful, yet also understanding what's happening in our climate. You know, and we're a little different, right? We've talked about Mount Vernon's a military school for a lot of things. I think the American flag is very sacred to a lot of people in our community, very sacred to me. Like, my father was a dude who, after 9/11, re-enlisted and like went overseas. So like the flag means a lot to me. And I know it does to a lot of other people. But we have those conversations, right? Like, I want to be at the point where my kids can talk to me about anything, right? Like, I think that's the group that they'll play harder for me. They'll care more about our program, care more about our team if we're able to have an open dialogue. And I think we have that, right? Like, I think we do. So it's a great thing. Like, that's why you want to be around high school kids, right? Like, to help. You don't want to tell kids what to do. You want to lead them in the way that they should be led, right? So like, our kids, like, they're here right now, like, they have a lot of bad role models, right? Like, there's a lot of bad people that, you know, kids can follow. So hopefully myself and our coaching staff can be positive role models that lead them in a direction that leads to success in a lot of areas, right? Like, football, at the end of the day, like, it's really fun and like, we want to win, but I'll be much more disappointed if they graduate and they're not successful in life, right? Like, I'll feel like I failed then. So those conversations, we just want them to help lead our young men in a positive direction.
That's it. Coach Monty Fritz. Guys, thank you. Over exuberant.
Yeah.